Well, 45 minutes ago, the High Court ruled that Qantas illegally sacked 1,700 workers during the pandemic. This is another blow for the troubled airline, something the board will be mulling over today, as well as its new CEO in Vanessa Hudson. Joining me now is Qantas Australia Party MP, Bob Katter. Bob, thanks so much for your time. Now, you really pick and choose your battles these days, but you're certainly not happy with Qantas.
No, I will be moving for an inquiry into the Qantas board. Don't worry about Alan Joyce, he's gone. Now, these people that are the slithering Sydney suits that control the share market, corporations in Australia, they appoint foreigners. BHP, the biggest mining company in the world, the board appointed a foreigner, Bob Anderson from America, to head up. He was there for 3 years. He paid himself over $54 million, according to the newspapers. That would be about 80 or 90 million for 3 years' work in Australia. And all he did was sell BHP to foreigners. Now, Joyce came here, another foreigner. You can say he was un-Australian. Well, naturally, he's not an Australian. They come from Britain or Ireland or somewhere. But they are not Australians. Australians would not appoint foreigners to head up all of the corporations. And we'll start there. But I have a particular interest here because amongst the first 200 or 300 investors in Qantas was my family. And we lost a lot of money, but we didn't lose money. We invested that money in providing a service for people of outback Australia. Now, still about 15, arguably 20% of Australians live in those small towns, that small town Australia. Yeah. Now, the charges by Qantas are prohibitively expensive, way out of kilter with the Brisbane, Sydney, Melbourne charges. And I'm not going to go into detail. So we did that to overcome the tyranny of distance, the great enemy of Australia. And it was reimposed, the tyranny of distance, by the board of Qantas. Now, I want an inquiry into that board. And you say, well, sacking the board. No, I want a lot more than sacking of that board. $1.57 billion of the people's money was given to Qantas whilst the chairman, not in that year or 2 years of COVID, but is paying himself $20 million a year, $1.57 billion in that period of time.
It was actually $2.7 billion if you're talking about JobKeeper. But I'm just trying to get to the number of what you actually want here, inquiring into the board and their activity, but you also want that inquiry to look at how foreigners are appointed to Australian businesses?
No, I'm just making the point that these are what the board did, right? They have made charges for regional services prohibitively expensive. They are paying their CEO almost twice as much as what any CEO in Australia gets. We will find out how much they've paid themselves in this period of time. The baggage handlers were sleeping on concrete, and God bless the TWU, Michael Caine and Tony Sheldon, but they put it on the national media. Every one of those board members knew that the baggage handlers were sleeping on a concrete floor with a blanket over them in midwinter, and they did nothing about it. So that's how they treated their workers. According to the aeronautical engineers, they're the sort of motor mechanics, if you like, of the air, thousands of their jobs have been offshored. So they copped it. The baggage handlers copped it. There is no respect for their employees whatsoever. Now, the moral proclivities, everyone in Australia should have the right to say whatever they want about morality and those sort of issues. Oh, no. This corporation was used to punish someone. He quoted from a book which happens to be the holy book up to the time of Abraham, the holy book for most of the world's population. It's not unreasonable that someone would quote a book that is the religious belief heartland of most of the world's population. Muslims have the same book up to Abraham.
Look, Bob, you make some really good points.
This corporation was used to punish people for their moral principles.
Yeah.
Now, I could go into 100 other issues.
Please don't.
This board
because we don't have the time. We don't have the time, Bob. But look, I always appreciate talking to you. I don't know what you're talking about with the book, but I'll follow that up. And you want this inquiry up. The board, I'm sure, are watching. We'll follow that up with you as well. We'll have to leave it there, but we get you back on soon. You've been great company as always.